Estimating software delivery time doesn't work. Alan Holub. I'm Chris Thanis. I'm a KMP developer. Tech support said they're going to be coming out for that Tuesday. They really promised me this time, and I believe them. I believe them. All right, we're going to listen to Alan Holub talk about why estimating software delivery time doesn't work, which I have known this innately when I first heard this and this whole thing, because I like stopped software development and I came back, and this was like a really big deal, like that we could actually do software estimates. It's like, man, I don't know how they must have come up with a new method or new thing, and this new agile thing I've heard about. Maybe that's the way to do it. It's like, nope, nope. They're just epistemologically, ontologically erring by thinking that you could see into the future and know all the things possible. And I think it's coming from the fact that most business people have been told over and over and over again that all businesses are the same. They're all basically a manufacturing business. They're basically, some sort of getting a widget out the door or some product out the door. They're all exactly the same, and every piece of that business can be sliced up into different little pieces and be put efficiencies into each one of those little pieces of the process. And unfortunately, what we're trying to do with software is not that. We're trying to figure out what to make, and then after you get that, you can slice it up, which we already have an extremely efficient product delivery system called the App Store or the internet, where whatever we write will be exactly delivered to the customer. So we've solved that problem. So the other problems remain, like what do we make for people? So that's where, and how long does that take? So it's an iterative process. We have to ask the customer, we have to show them something. We have to take the risk to build the thing. That means paying people that may not be fruitful. Show them something, and then get feedback from them whether they like it or not, and keep doing that. Either have an intuition where you're coming in already, or you keep doing that enough until you give people what they want, where you can provide a solution that's they want at a cost basis that you can do sustainably, where they feel they're getting value out of it. This is not rocket science, but it's an iterative process, and we can't go right to it. I know we really want to, and the business people seem to come in. They don't think this process isn't going on in parallel all over the place in America, with a bunch of tinkerers and software people and designers and stuff all tinkering all at the same time, and all of a sudden something will pop up, boop, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's just natural." It's like, no, there's a whole process going on underneath of knowledge work that's being either like unpaid or like not seen or done in the basement or done for a hobby are done for their own personal benefit, and then all of a sudden, because they're going after a space that's not being looked at, because it's not cost effective, because it's how do you know you got something until you actually got it? It's risky as hell. Let's keep going.
You talk to some business people, and what they want is certainty.
Yeah,
And they can't get it, so they live in this fantasy land of imagining that they have certainty when they don't. But
right.
they
They
still
want
keep
certainty,
demanding it. And
and
then
we all
when things
do.
don't work out the way they want them to, they either drop into blame or they
Right.
drop into craziness.
They don't understand because they've been told, right. Every process is a business, is this factory model, and they haven't been told that, look, man, what this software stuff is knowledge work. We're actually exploring a space, or we're trying to refine in on a space that we want to attack, that we don't know which way to go. We don't know what the customer wants yet. They don't know what they want, because if they did, then this would not be an issue. There'd be no contention here. This would not be the time estimates would be super easy, because we would just give them exactly what they wanted last week, except not in 10.2 seconds. They want 10.1 seconds, or 4% sweeter, or 2% saltier, or in a different color, in a different place. It's all that stuff, man. And we don't know which one to go, which one's the two. Like, this way will cost us 2 cents, but we'll get 10 cents out. This way will cost us 5 cents, but we'll get 22 cents out. Which way do we go? I don't know. We got to try and figure out those things, and that's where creativity comes in, artistry, taste, curation, all that stuff. And people are getting ugly and butthurt because nobody told the business people, hey, this is knowledge work, man. It's not, we can copy somebody else's, we can do cargo cult stuff. Sure, we can kayfabe like it, and maybe, to get VC funding, if that's the path, the customers actually just get the funding and have some fun years, and then bail out when it gets too hard. They understand that that's not how you make products happen. Man, let's keep going.
Yeah. So, estimation, right? They say, well, that estimate was wrong, so we have to get better at estimation. And
No, it's impossible. I'm glad this no estimates thing is coming to light, because you will never get better at estimates. If you ever get better, it'll be a stochastic error. It'll just be within the error margin of error that you put in, and just randomly got there one time. You can't rely on it, and to rely on the whole thing like, oh, I have time. That's why adventure-driven development. I have a whole series on that. That you are given a time slot. You're given an amount of period of time, and at that end, you can't cut it up. We're not going to ask you to cut it up in tiny little slices. We're not even asking that. But in that, at the end of that period, you better have something to show. You better have made progress. You better have got, and also in the middle of there, you better be showing people stuff. You better show them progress, because at the end of that time period, if they don't have enough, you don't have enough progress, whatever that is, if you haven't got enough traction, or you haven't got the thing, they have the full right to cancel that project or continue on and do another time period, right? And that's how it actually works in real life. They want to put all this stuff behind it. It's like, well, do we gonna make to the end? It's like, we don't know, man. A lot of companies fail. Most companies fail. I know it's a lot of this stuff is luck, man. A lot of this stuff is just lucky. A lot of stuff is also competitors taking people out of the market who are coming up like this. So you don't ever see their products. You don't see their services. They all canceled. Google loves doing that. This is one of their favorite things to do, is to use their money in stock buyback to acquire companies and then bury them, or scale their engineers and convince them to work on something else.
Going, nobody can get better at estimation. It's not possible.
Yeah.
Right. Because something always comes up.
Yep.
So if something always comes up, then whatever you estimated is based on the wrong thing. You're estimating the wrong stuff.
Right.
And then they say, well, we'll re-estimate. And I'm going, have you read any books on lean in your life? Is that we do some work?
So the only estimate that will be 100% accurate is to actually do it and to look back and say, oh, that's how long it took. Because that's the only, at the very moment when they hit the push button to press go, then you'll know how long it took. when you launch it onto the App Store and you've just calculated, that's the calculation that would be the only accurate one. There's the moment right before, it's like, I'm going to take 1 second more to do this. And then at the moment, let's keep going.
And then something changes, and then we do the work over again, and then something changes, and we do the same work over again, and over and over and over, and that takes up huge amounts of time, which makes your schedule slip even further.
Right. But it looks busy. It looks like you're at making. It looks like you care about it by concentrating on this stuff. Like, how many points for that? Could just shave a point off on that ticket because we're trying to make a schedule.
Again, it's kind of crazy making. Is that the agile means agile, literally. And
which means flexible. All it means is change the things around. It wasn't this, even those 4 sentences, you could change those things around. It was meant to be like, hey man, we got to make it way more flexible and experimental. If we're going to be doing this computer stuff, we can always copy somebody else who did this, but they're always going to be doing this adventure driven stuff, man. They're not going to be, you can copy somebody else who does the adventure driven, but to go down the adventure driven route, you have to be a special kind of stupid, because it's super risky and really, like, you have to be down in the pit. You have to get a lot of experience just to have a chance. And most people fail. Now, I think that you get a lot out of the failed experiments, or the experience that didn't go as expected. I think you get more out of that than trying to be at one of these has-been companies that think that they're still startup culture, like Amazon or Google, whatever. I mean, it's good to get like technical chops, sort of, but you also get like the sickness, which I think they have a process that allows them to do adventure-driven development, and they don't, because the incentives are all screwed up and all upside down.
They don't want that, though. They want it to be something predictable and rigid and
because that's what they've been told. That's what every other person, like everybody outside the knowledge worker field of software development, all of them have been told this. Harvard MBA, this is Harvard MBA's problem. They got to tell people, hey, there's a creative process. There is a way to manage it, but you're going to have to get your hands dirty. I know. You mean I got to make a sales call? I got to learn UI design?
Controllable.
Embracing change.
Where control is not possible, right?
Yeah.
So there you are. And it's often I find that when I come into a company as a consultant, depending on the company and the size, it's actually possible to get people to understand and start doing agile stuff. It's just that they never understood what it was. The problem is not evilness. Evilness, that's the word. The problem is not evil.
I mean, it's just, yes, it's misunderstanding about what the job actually is, what we're actually doing with computers, and the risk profile of the people involved. A lot of people just want to do a copycat. They just want to copy somebody else's stuff, take a little of their success without actually do the cargo cult procedures. We do stand-ups, we do Scrum, we do points on tickets, but it's like all that kayfabe theater, and they'll be successful for a little while, because you can, if a space has been opened up and somebody can glob onto it, but they're not going to keep up with where it's going to go. And they'll always be playing catch up and always second best unless they get adventure driven, which is, again, very risky because there's a lot of experimentation that doesn't go anywhere. And people don't see that part because they're all experiments that didn't go anywhere. So you're not going to see that part.
Problem is lack of education. They don't really understand what it's about. And often when they do understand what it's about, they actually prefer it over what they're doing now. In other words, somebody who's like an estimate guy, who's saying, I have to have an estimate, when are you going to deliver? And I'm going, well, why are you doing that? And the answer comes back typically as, I'm not going to invest $5 million into a project and not know whether it's going to work or not in a year.
Yeah, it's totally reasonable, especially for business people. This is how every other thing in business world works. You have a time estimate. How long is it going to take? And people will tell you it'll take this long. But that's when they've already created the widget, sir. They've already created the process. This is the end result. We are the consumers of that. We are not the creators of that. So we don't see all the things they went through to get to the point where they could actually do a sales call with you and meet all your objections, which include the time estimate. So they have a system operation but we're creating the widget. We're creating the product. We're creating the service. We don't know all those details yet. We're in the process of doing that. And they don't understand that because they're also consumers, man. And they've been told and repeated over and over again, it's just so simple. 5 tricks and every business is the same. It's like, no. The knowledge work is this other thing. And it's not like advertising. It's not like doing your end of your results. It's going to be a printed ad. You already know it's going to have some prices in it and some product in it with the service or somebody in a model. It's not like that. It's a whole new. We're trying to solve a problem cheaper, faster, easier, better, funner than somebody else is doing it already. And that you have to be clever. Come on, people, they're spending time to make their product correct. So you get to spend more time in a different way, a different niche, a different person. Come on now.
So I've got to have estimates so that I can check progress against the estimate to see if we can deliver. And I'm saying,
well, how about you can go talk to people? You can go sit next to them while they're banging out the thing. You can draw some UI sketches. You can be involved with it. You can make some sales calls to see what the users' objections are. You can find who's the problem space we're involved. Go talk to them. Go visit them out in the field, whatever they're doing. Go look at them. Go take their sample of whatever they're using now. Like, all this stuff. Come on, be useful. Now, I'm going to check my Jira burn down chart, and that's my role. It's like, no, that's not your role at a knowledge work company. You have to go investigate. You can't just, I'm going to sit in the office and sip my latte and check the burn down chart. That's how I'll know when it'll be done. And we better get it right this time, guys.
Well, what if we actually look?
Not that I have any idea what you guys are doing, but keep up the good work as long as we're on schedule.
What if I give you something in 2 weeks and you can look at it?
And you don't think that developers understand that this is the game that's being played and are going to like, all right, if you're going to play it like this, I will do the absolute minimum and to get you exactly the way you want done in the way you want it, as long as you pay me. And I'm on the side. If I got sparkles in my eyes, I'm going to still be looking at the adventure at some point. And I'm going to take notes here, and I'm going to use the 80% of extra throughput I'm using that I've got left on the table, which you could be accessing, but you don't because you want to have it precisely down on 2 points. This is a 2-point ticket, son. We better have it in by Friday. So that extra 80% that they're using, they're going to go do something else. And when the opportunity presents itself, they may go adventure on your ass.
And see if it's right or not, and we can adjust it. And if not, we can move on to the next thing. And we'll do the most important stuff first. And that way you know that you're not going to fail because the stuff that really matters, that's done.
Yeah.
Often people say, gosh, that would be great. Let's do that. And then they say, what do you call that? And I go, well, that's agile. And I go, no, that's not agile. But the point is that once you...
Yes, moving things around in time, depending on priorities change. Yes, that's a good thing to do in knowledge work because we just found out there's a dead path over here. It's like, well, we got to keep going down that path because that's on the schedule. It's like, no, we don't have to keep going down that path. We can retract and go a different direction. Well, I don't know. How are you going to know that? I don't know. We're going to have to work through it, aren't we? We're going to have to use our creativity in the moment to decide that problem, to figure it out as we're exploring the space, and hopefully we'll get it. There's no guarantees. We may not have a solution. What now? The product fails, so you go off and do something else and try again later with that failed experiment in mind. What? This is how it works, man.
You understand that way of thinking, it kind of makes sense. But the larger the organization, the harder it is to get people to work in a different way than what the organization is pushing. Is that the system? I'm a
Absolutely.
big systems.
This is all top down stuff. That's why these all these companies are totally open. Alan Hall, the DC one, had told me all these companies are totally open for direct competition by smaller teams who understand these basic concepts and aren't like, well, we can't change the process now that we're going out of business. Now Athanas Corp is going to take over. He said they got 50% market share in 2 months. And our customers are screaming at us like, all you gotta do is do the Thanasoft stuff, and we don't have that in our schedule. That's not in our estimate.
Right. And the agile is a system. It's an organizational system, and it encompasses the entire organization, not just the engineering department or team or something.
Exactly. So you have to have full buy-in. But the only people that will buy in is usually have an experience where they get their lunch eaten and go like, "Oh shit, maybe we should pay attention to that stuff. What our customers are screaming at, and maybe make changes instead of following the damn estimate." No. We got with the backlog in order. It's like, no, dude, no. Anyway, give me a like and subscribe. I hope you like my rants. I'll talk to you soon.